Just not too long ago, I voted for the CHIPS Act, and one of the reasons I voted for that is that we need to have a supply chain resiliency in the semiconductor space. I think there's an analog here in terms of how we bring back manufacturing to the United States, but by itself, particularly for the lower margin drugs, we have so many obstacles that we have to overcome. I'm kind of curious if you could expand. I would see regulatory burdens being one of them. I can see just cost basis here, a lack of tax incentives, those sorts of things. But and anyone else that wants to speak up, what should we be thinking about to make either the United States a better jurisdiction to address some of our supply chain vulnerabilities or friendlier jurisdictions? I've got a particular interest in jurisdictions in this hemisphere. I think Mexico or Latin and South America. But can you give me an idea of your thought, or give me some of your thoughts?
Thank you, Senator. I'm a cancer doctor and not an economist, so I will defer to some of my panelists here to give some thoughts on that. However, what I would say is that this is an ongoing issue that really does need to be addressed in the way that you're talking about, to have additional resiliency. So we look at semiconductors or other national security issues. Not having access to generic drugs in some ways is a national security issue.
Well, and Dr. Walensky?
Yeah, I would be happy to speak to this. The CHIPS Act is a great example of how something like this could be done. The big difference from semiconductors is that we're talking about 20,000 approved drug products. Each one of them has many phases and many facilities, 16,000 facilities, right. Key starting materials. So the framework is good, but I think what we need to layer on top of that is really an analytic approach on how we choose what is most important. And in my testimony, we have with colleagues put forward a framework for how the government should prioritize which supply chains are important. And I'll give you an example. Cancer drugs are not on the essential medicines list. Right. So one of the pieces that needs to be thought through again is what is essential. Another piece is what is really vulnerable. Going back to trade and so on, we need to be thinking about not just everything in the U.S. that's not possible, but thinking about potentially friend-shoring, near-shoring. And also thinking about full supply chains. If the federal government were to move an API facility, active pharmaceutical ingredient facility to the United States, but all of the upstream still comes from China and all of the key ingredients still come from China, then what problem did we solve? That's not a good use of taxpayers' money. So we need to be really strategic in that approach in how we do it, and then we can take the steps that you have taken in the CHIPS Act.
This is it, friends. Please keep an eye on your mailbox. This week, the next batches of state tax rebate checks are arriving for many Americans. Thanks to new budget surpluses, more funds are being allocated towards this extra relief. The Federal Reserve has also just made a huge announcement on the next interest rate hikes. My dear friends, please make sure that you watch until the end of this video. Also, to say thank you for being part of this community. Every Friday, I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you would like to enter the weekly giveaway, friends, please click and like several of my videos, and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, friends, the greater your chances of winning these giveaways. The Montana Department of Revenue is gearing up to wrap up its distribution of income tax rebates, and you have 18 days left to claim up to a whopping $2,500. The state of Minnesota has approved millions of dollars for these rebates, but it's based on your 2021 income taxes. The distribution of these checks kicked off back in July and is set to conclude on December 31st. Montana taxpayers that are married joint filers can receive a $2,500 check, while individual filers can claim $1,250. The Alabama Department of Revenue has also started the distribution of rebates, offering $150 for individuals and $300 for joint filers. The distribution process began on December 1st, providing a financial boost to eligible residents just in time for the holiday season. However, some taxpayers may find themselves facing a longer wait period than anticipated. In a new statement, the Department of Revenue acknowledged the substantial task at hand. They stated, the Alabama Department of Revenue is working diligently to process and direct deposit rebate checks in a timely manner. We are aware of the importance of these funds, and we are making every effort to expedite the processing while ensuring accuracy. The department clarified that the issuance of rebates, whether through direct deposit or paper check, began this month. Acknowledging the significance of these funds, the Department of Revenue urged patience from recipients. Also, friends, this Wednesday, the Federal Reserve maintained its benchmark interest rate in a range of 5.25% to 5.5%, but the Federal Reserve signaled it will likely cut interest rates by 0.75% in the year ahead. Just a few months ago, the Fed's forecast had suggested the central bank would cut interest rates by 0.50%. The Fed has moved in 25 basis point increments over the last year, indicating the central bank now expects to cut interest rates 3 times in 2024. These projections come as the central bank now expects inflation to fall 2.4% next year, down from 2.5% forecast in September, and drop further to 2.2% by the year 2025. Federal Reserve Jerome Powell reiterated several times at his press conference that the Fed still needs to see more evidence that inflation is moving down to its 2% goal. He made it clear that the economy could still move in surprising directions. He noted that while there is little basis for thinking that the economy is in a recession right now, there is always a probability that there will be a recession in the next year. The Fed chair also declined to provide any guidance on when the Fed might cut rates. Some on Wall Street are expecting a cut as early as March 2024. But Powell made it clear that Fed officials are beginning the conversation of when to dial back policy restraints. He said it was a topic of discussion at the central bank's meeting and will remain an important topic in the future. Acknowledging progress in inflation, officials changed long-held language in a statement to note that inflation has eased over the past year, but remains elevated. Previously, the central bank had merely referred to inflation as elevated. Officials also acknowledged in their statement the slowdown in the economy since a torrid pace of over 5% in the third quarter. The Fed sees the economy growing 1.4% next year. That is down a tenth from the 1.5% forecast in September. Recent readings on inflation do show it dropping closer to the central bank's target. The Fed's favorite inflation measure, the Core Personal Consumption Expenditures Index, which excludes food and energy prices, clocked in at 3.5% for the month of October. That is down from 3.7% in September. Well, my awesome and amazing friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for today. Dear friends, thank you so much for being part of this community. Every Friday, I will be announcing several winners for the Walmart gift card giveaway. If you would like to enter these weekly giveaway, friends, please click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The more videos that you comment on, friends, the greater your chances of winning these giveaways. Thank you and have a wonderful and very blessed week.